Situation: your friend wants to improve her English speaking skills. Here are 3 possible solutions. 1. Join an English speaking club. 2. Take an online speaking course. 3. Practice speaking with a native speaker online. Which do you think is the best solution? Why?
If my friend wants to improve their English speaking skills, would recommend practicing with a native speaker online as the best option. Firstly, speaking with a native speaker provides real-life conversation experience. It helps improve pronunciation, fluency, and listening skills much faster than just studying alone or attending classes. With online platforms like italki or Cambly, it's also very convenient and flexible. Compared to that, joining an English-speaking club is helpful too, but the people in the club might not always speak correctly or naturally, especially if they are learners themselves. It's good for building confidence, but not always accurate. Taking an online course can help with structure and learning expressions, but without real conversation, it's not enough. Speaking is a skill that needs practice, not just theory. So, in my opinion, talking regularly with a native speaker is the most practical and effective solution for improving speaking skills.
Situation: students at your university are feeling stressed. The school is considering 3 possible ways to help. 1. Reduce homework and deadlines. 2. Organize stress management workshops. 3. Allow more outdoor and recreational activities. Which do you think is the most effective solution? Why?
To reduce student stress, I believe reducing homework and deadlines is the most effective solution. Many students feel overwhelmed because they have too many assignments and not enough time to complete them. If schools reduce the workload or allow more flexible deadlines, students can better manage their time and feel less pressure. This would directly target the root cause of academic stress. Stress management workshops are helpful in theory, but they don't always lead to real changes unless the workload also changes. And while outdoor activities are refreshing, they are only short-term reliefs. So, overall, I think adjusting the amount of homework and deadlines will bring the most meaningful and long-lasting impact on students' well-being.
Situation: you have just moved to a new city and want to make friends. Here are 3 ways you're considering. 1. Join a local sports or hobby club. 2. Use social media or apps to meet people. 3. Take part in community volunteer activities. Which is the best way to make friends?
If I just moved to a new city, I would choose to join a local sports or hobby club to make friends. This is because clubs allow people to meet regularly and naturally bond over shared interests. Whether it's a football team, a book club, or a photography group, it creates a relaxed environment where friendship develops over time. Using social media might help, but sometimes it leads to awkward or short-lived connections. It lacks the face-to-face interaction that builds strong relationships. Volunteering is meaningful, but not everyone volunteers regularly, and it may not always lead to close friendships. So, I believe joining a hobby club is the most effective and enjoyable way to meet people in a new place. Personally, I think cooking at home is the most effective way for a student to save money.
Situation: you want to save money as a university student. Here are 3 possible solutions. 1. Cook at home instead of eating out. 2. Use public transportation instead of taxis. 3. Find a part-time job on weekends. Which is the most effective way to save money?
Eating out every day is expensive, especially in big cities. If I prepare my own meals, I can spend less and eat healthier at the same time. It also teaches useful life skills like planning and budgeting. Taking public transport helps too, but transportation costs are usually fixed and not as high as food expenses. Working part-time is a way to earn money, but it doesn't necessarily reduce your spending. Also, working weekends can affect your studies if not balanced well. Therefore, I believe cooking at home regularly is a smart and sustainable way to manage student expenses.
Situation: you are planning your birthday. There are 3 suggestions. 1. A beach holiday. 2. A climbing holiday. 3. A sightseeing holiday. Which do you think is the best choice for you? Why?
If I had to choose one way to celebrate my birthday, I'd pick a beach holiday because it offers the perfect mix of relaxation and fun. Birthdays, for me, are a time to recharge and enjoy life, and the beach provides a calm yet festive setting, whether it's sunbathing, swimming, or having a seaside barbecue. Compared to that, a climbing holiday might be too intense. While adventurous, it requires physical effort and comes with risks, which isn't how I'd want to spend my special day. Sightseeing, though interesting, often involves tight schedules and crowded places, more tiring than relaxing. Overall, a beach holiday feels ideal, peaceful, joyful, and a chance to celebrate with loved ones without stress or pressure.
Situation: your friend wants to stay healthy. Here are 3 possible solutions. 1. Do regular exercise. 2. Eat more fruits and vegetables. 3. Get enough sleep every night. Which do you think is the most effective way to stay healthy?
While all 3 solutions are important for maintaining good health, I believe that doing regular exercise is the most effective option. First of all, physical activity not only helps improve cardiovascular health and build stronger muscles, but it also supports mental well-being. For example, people who exercise regularly often feel more energetic, sleep better, and are less likely to suffer from anxiety or depression. Even just 30 minutes of walking or jogging a day can have noticeable benefits. Of course, eating healthy foods like fruits and vegetables provides essential nutrients, and sleeping well helps the body recover. However, without physical movement, a person may still feel sluggish or become unfit over time. In addition, regular exercise encourages people to develop a healthy lifestyle overall. When people work out, they're often more motivated to eat clean and sleep on time, which means they benefit from all 3 habits. To sum up, while eating well and sleeping enough are necessary, I strongly believe that exercise is the key habit that leads to a healthier and more active life.
Situation: you want to learn a new skill during your free time. Here are 3 options. 1. Learn to play a musical instrument. 2. Learn how to cook. 3. Learn a new language. Which do you think is the most useful skill to learn?
In my opinion, learning a new language is the most useful skill to learn in your free time. Firstly, language learning opens many doors, both personally and professionally. It can help you communicate with people from different countries, understand other cultures, and even improve your chances of finding a good job. For example, knowing English, Chinese, or Spanish can be a big advantage in today's global job market. Learning how to cook is also practical, especially for daily life. It saves money and allows you to eat healthier. Playing a musical instrument, on the other hand, is great for creativity and emotional expression, but it's less useful in everyday situations unless you pursue a career in music. Furthermore, language learning trains your memory, listening, and problem-solving skills. It's challenging but very rewarding. You can also use it to travel, study abroad, or build international friendships. All things considered, language is a life-changing skill, and learning it in your free time is a smart investment for the future.
Situation: you have a day off from work or school. Here are 3 ways you can spend it. 1. Stay at home and rest. 2. Go out with friends. 3. Visit a new place. Which do you think is the best way to spend your day off?
If I had a day off, I would prefer to visit a new place, because I find it both relaxing and exciting. Exploring somewhere new, whether it's a local cafe, a nature park, or a nearby city, gives me a sense of adventure. It helps me break out of my routine and experience something different. Visiting new places also allows me to take photos, learn new things, and create lasting memories. While staying at home can be comfortable, it can also feel boring or even a bit lonely. It might help you rest, but you don't really gain anything new from the experience. Going out with friends is fun, but it usually involves going to the same places you already know, like shopping malls or restaurants. On the other hand, when you visit a new place, even just for a few hours, it feels like a small vacation. It refreshes your mind and gives you energy for the days ahead. That's why I think spending your day off exploring a new place is the most enjoyable and rewarding choice.
Situation: your school wants to reduce its environmental impact. Here are 3 possible actions. 1. Encourage students to recycle. 2. Use less electricity and water. 3. Organize tree planting activities. Which do you think is the most effective way to help the environment?
Among the 3 options, I believe the most effective way to protect the environment is to encourage students to recycle. Recycling helps reduce the amount of waste that ends up in landfills or oceans. By reusing materials like paper, plastic, and glass, we also save natural resources and reduce pollution. In a school setting, students throw away a lot of paper and plastic, so teaching them how to recycle properly can have a big impact. While using less electricity and water is also important, it depends a lot on facilities and systems. It may not be easy for students to control the school's overall consumption unless the school installs better equipment. Tree planting is meaningful, but it's usually a one-time event. Recycling, on the other hand, is something students can practice every day and carry into their future lives. So, I think raising awareness and building recycling habits among students is the most practical and long-lasting solution to protect the environment.
Situation: you are helping a friend prepare for a job interview. Here are 3 ways you can help. 1. Practice answering common interview questions. 2. Help them choose the right clothes. 3. Give them advice on how to stay calm and confident. Which do you think is the most helpful way to support your friend?
To support my friend in preparing for a job interview, I think the most helpful thing would be to practice answering common interview questions. This is because interviews can be stressful, especially when people don't know what to expect. By going through common questions together, my friend will feel more prepared and confident. They can learn how to structure their answers, highlight their strengths, and avoid making common mistakes. Choosing the right outfit is also important, but it only takes a few minutes and doesn't affect the actual performance during the interview. Similarly, giving advice about staying calm is helpful, but it's usually not enough unless they feel truly ready. Practicing questions is active preparation. It helps reduce anxiety because they know what to say and how to say it. So in my opinion, role-playing and answering sample questions is the best way to prepare and build real confidence.
Situation: you want to improve your English speaking skills. Here are 3 ways you can do that. 1. Practice speaking with a native speaker. 2. Join an English speaking club. 3. Watch English movies and repeat the dialogues. Which do you think is the most effective way to improve your English speaking skills?
To improve my English speaking skills, I think the most effective method is to practice speaking with a native speaker. When I speak directly with someone who uses English as their first language, I can learn the natural rhythm, tone, and expressions of real conversation. It gives me the chance to make mistakes and receive immediate corrections, which helps me grow much faster than passive learning methods. Of course, joining an English speaking club is beneficial too, especially for building confidence. However, most members are non-native speakers, so the learning might be limited. Watching movies and repeating dialogues is fun and useful for listening and pronunciation, but it's a one-way interaction and doesn't build real speaking fluency. So overall, practicing with a native speaker is the most active and realistic method to improve my English speaking skills in a practical and long-lasting way.
Situation: you are a student and want to save money. Here are 3 possible ways. 1. Cook meals at home instead of eating out. 2. Limit online shopping. 3. Use public transport instead of taxis or motorbikes. Which do you think is the best way to save money?
In my opinion, the best way to save money as a student is to cook meals at home instead of eating out. Eating out regularly can quickly become very expensive, especially for students on a limited budget. By cooking at home, I can plan my meals in advance, buy ingredients in bulk, and even prepare several meals at once to save time and effort. It's not only cheaper but also healthier and more satisfying. Limiting online shopping is also important, especially for unnecessary items, but it depends on one's habits. As for using public transport, it's a good strategy, but not everyone has access to a reliable system. Therefore, developing the habit of cooking at home brings the most consistent and long-term financial benefit for students trying to save money.
Situation: you want to get a summer job to earn money and gain experience. Here are 3 job options. 1. Work as a waiter/waitress. 2. Teach English to children. 3. Do an internship in an office. Which job do you think is the most beneficial?
I believe that doing an internship in an office is the most beneficial summer job out of the 3 options. This kind of work provides real-life experience in a professional environment. It allows me to understand how a company works, interact with coworkers, learn about responsibilities, and improve skills like communication and time management. If the internship is related to my field of study, it can be an excellent stepping stone toward future job opportunities. Working as a waiter or waitress teaches customer service and can earn decent tips, while teaching English is meaningful and builds communication skills. However, an office internship is more relevant if you want to pursue a long-term career in a specific industry. That's why I think gaining early experience through an internship is the smartest and most forward-thinking choice for a summer job.
Situation: your exams are coming. Here are 3 ways you can prepare. 1. Study with a group of friends. 2. Make a study timetable and follow it. 3. Watch review videos on YouTube. Which do you think is the most effective method?
To prepare effectively for final exams, I think the best method is to make a study timetable and follow it strictly. A clear timetable helps me stay organized and focused. I can break large subjects into smaller parts, allocate time to each topic, and include breaks to avoid burnout. It prevents procrastination and helps me stay consistent, which is essential for good results. Studying with friends might be motivating, but it can also lead to distractions. Watching YouTube videos is useful for understanding difficult concepts, but it can't replace personal effort and planning. Therefore, a well-structured study schedule not only keeps me disciplined but also ensures that I cover all topics in time, making it the most effective strategy for exam preparation.
Situation: your best friend's birthday is coming. Here are 3 ways you can celebrate it. 1. Organize a surprise party. 2. Buy them a meaningful gift. 3. Take them on a short trip. Which do you think is the best way to celebrate?
I believe that the best way to celebrate a friend's birthday is to organize a surprise party. It's not just about gifts or outings, it's about creating a special moment they'll remember forever. A surprise party shows effort and thoughtfulness. You can include decorations, music, games, and invite close friends. The joy and emotion your friend feels when they walk into a room full of love and celebration is priceless. Buying a meaningful gift is nice, but it doesn't have the same emotional impact as a shared experience. A short trip can be wonderful too, but it often takes more time and money, and not everyone may be available to join. So, in my opinion, planning a surprise party is the most joyful, memorable, and heartfelt way to show your friend how much they mean to you.
Situation: you often feel stressed after school or work. Here are 3 ways to relax. 1. Do physical exercise. 2. Spend time with family or friends. 3. Listen to music or meditate. Which do you think is the most effective way to reduce stress?
In my opinion, the most effective way to reduce stress after school or work is to do physical exercise. When I exercise, my body releases endorphins, which naturally improve my mood and reduce feelings of stress. Physical activity also helps me shift focus away from mental worries and into something active and positive. Whether it's jogging, playing sports, or just walking, moving my body helps me clear my mind and sleep better at night. Spending time with family or friends is also helpful, especially emotionally, but it might not always be available if people are busy. Listening to music or meditating is relaxing, but these methods are more passive and may not work as effectively for everyone. That's why I believe regular physical exercise is the healthiest and most reliable way to deal with stress in the long term.
Situation: you want to become more environmentally friendly in daily life. Here are 3 options. 1. Use reusable bags and bottles. 2. Take public transport instead of driving. 3. Reduce the use of plastic and packaging. Which do you think is the most effective action to help the environment?
I believe that the most effective way to be more environmentally friendly is to take public transport instead of driving. Transportation is a major source of pollution, especially in big cities. By using buses, trains, or carpooling, we can reduce carbon emissions and save natural resources like fuel. It also reduces traffic congestion and promotes a cleaner, healthier environment for everyone. Using reusable bags and bottles is great, but the environmental impact is relatively small compared to vehicle emissions. Reducing plastic use is important, but it's not always easy to avoid packaging, especially when shopping in supermarkets. Overall, choosing public transport shows a serious commitment to sustainability and can influence others to make similar choices.
Situation: you want to make better use of your weekends. Here are 3 ideas. 1. Learn a new skill or hobby. 2. Plan your week ahead. 3. Do housework and personal tasks. Which do you think is the best way to stay productive?
To stay productive on weekends, I think the best option is to learn a new skill or hobby. Weekends are a great time to invest in personal growth. Instead of only resting, I can use a few hours to explore something new. Like cooking, coding, playing an instrument, or improving my language skills. This not only keeps my mind active but also gives me a sense of achievement. Over time, these skills might even help my career or become a source of income. Planning the week ahead is useful, but it takes less time and can't compare to gaining real abilities. Doing housework is necessary, but it doesn't bring the same long-term benefits. That's why I believe investing weekends into learning is a smart and fulfilling way to stay productive.
Situation: you are working on a group project at school or work. Here are 3 ways to improve teamwork. 1. Assign clear roles and responsibilities. 2. Have regular group meetings. 3. Use online tools for communication and collaboration. Which do you think is the most important for effective teamwork?
In my opinion, the most important factor for effective teamwork is to assign clear roles and responsibilities. When everyone knows what they're responsible for, the group works more efficiently. There's less confusion, fewer overlaps, and more accountability. People can focus on their own tasks while trusting others to do theirs. This also prevents conflict and delays, especially when deadlines are tight. Regular meetings help with progress checks, and online tools make communication easier, but both depend on having well-defined roles. Without that, meetings may become unproductive, and tools might be misused. Therefore, setting up clear roles from the beginning lays the foundation for strong, smooth, and result-driven teamwork.
Situation: you want to learn a new language quickly. Here are 3 strategies. 1. Take an intensive language course. 2. Practice daily with a native speaker online. 3. Watch movies and read books in that language. Which do you think is the most effective way to learn faster?
To learn a new language faster, I believe the best approach is to practice daily with a native speaker online. This method forces me to use the language in real time. I learn not just vocabulary and grammar, but also slang, pronunciation, and cultural context. Regular conversation improves fluency and builds confidence. Speaking every day, even for 15 minutes, is far more effective than just reading or memorizing rules. Intensive courses are useful but often expensive, and they may not provide enough speaking practice. Watching movies and reading books help with listening and reading, but they're passive. You don't get feedback or interaction. That's why I believe daily speaking with a native speaker is the fastest and most practical way to become fluent in a new language.
Situation: you want to live a healthier lifestyle. Here are 3 options. 1. Eat more fruits and vegetables. 2. Exercise regularly. 3. Sleep at least 8 hours a night. Which do you think is the most effective way to stay healthy?
To live a healthier lifestyle, I believe the most effective way is to exercise regularly. Exercise not only strengthens the body physically but also improves mental health. It helps regulate blood pressure, boosts the immune system, and reduces the risk of chronic diseases like diabetes and heart problems. Mentally, it reduces stress and anxiety through the release of endorphins, natural chemicals that make us feel happier. When I work out regularly, I also tend to make better choices in other areas, such as eating and sleeping. Physical activity creates a routine and structure that influences the rest of my lifestyle. Of course, eating fruits and vegetables is crucial because it provides essential nutrients, and sleeping well allows the body to recover. However, if I had to choose one habit that drives all the others, I'd say exercise has the most powerful and wide-reaching benefits. It improves both the body and the mind, making it the foundation of a healthy life.
Situation: you find it hard to concentrate when studying. Here are 3 strategies. 1. Study in a quiet place with no distractions. 2. Use the Pomodoro technique. Study in short intervals with breaks. 3. Turn off your phone or block social media apps. Which strategy do you think is the most effective?
For me, the most effective strategy to improve concentration is using the Pomodoro technique. This method encourages deep focus by dividing study time into short, manageable chunks, typically 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break. These breaks give the brain time to rest, which prevents burnout and keeps the mind sharp throughout the day. One of the things I like about this method is that it builds discipline while still being flexible. Over time, it improves time management and helps track productivity. Studying in a quiet place is necessary, of course, but even a silent room can't help if your brain gets tired or bored. Turning off the phone is also helpful, but without a proper study method, it's easy to lose focus anyway. That's why I think the Pomodoro technique combines focus, rest, and structure, making it the most effective and sustainable way to stay concentrated while studying.
Situation: you've just moved to a new city and want to make friends. Here are 3 possible ways. 1. Join a local club or group that shares your interests. 2. Attend social events or community activities. 3. Use social media or apps to meet people. Which do you think is the best way to make new friends?
In my opinion, the best way to make friends in a new city is to join a local club or group that shares your interests. When people have shared passions, whether it's sports, music, cooking, or books, it becomes much easier to start conversations and build connections. Over time, these repeated interactions help friendships grow naturally. For example, joining a hiking group would allow me to meet people regularly, bond over shared experiences, and feel more connected to the community. Attending social events is helpful, but sometimes these gatherings are large and it's hard to connect with individuals on a deeper level. Meeting people through apps or social media can be effective, but online communication often lacks the warmth and trust that come from face-to-face interaction. So overall, joining a local club provides consistency, common ground, and opportunities for real friendship to develop.
Situation: you often forget tasks and deadlines. Here are 3 ways to become more organized. 1. Keep a daily planner or calendar. 2. Set reminders and alarms on your phone. 3. Declutter your study or workspace. Which method do you think is the most effective?
I think the most effective way to become more organized is to keep a daily planner or calendar. Using a planner allows me to see all my tasks, deadlines, and appointments in one place. It helps me prioritize what's urgent and what can wait, reducing stress and increasing productivity. Writing things down also improves memory, and crossing tasks off gives a sense of accomplishment. While reminders on the phone are helpful for specific events, they don't show the bigger picture or allow for detailed planning. And while a clean workspace can improve focus, it doesn't directly help with time management or remembering important deadlines. Personally, when I use a planner, I feel more in control of my day and I rarely forget anything important. That's why I believe it's the best tool to build strong organizational habits.
Situation: you want to do some volunteer work in your free time. Here are 3 options. 1. Volunteer at an animal shelter. 2. Help tutor children in poor communities. 3. Clean up parks and public places. Which volunteer activity do you think is the most meaningful?
I believe the most meaningful volunteer activity is to help tutor children in poor communities. Education is the foundation for a better future. By offering my time and knowledge to help children learn, I can make a real difference in their lives. It's not just about helping with homework, it's about building their confidence, supporting their dreams, and showing them that someone believes in them. Children from disadvantaged backgrounds often don't get the attention they need at school or at home. By tutoring them, I can help close the gap and give them a fairer chance to succeed. Volunteering at an animal shelter is rewarding, and cleaning up public spaces is good for the community, but tutoring has a deeper and more long-lasting impact on people's lives. That's why I feel it is the most meaningful way to use my time and skills to contribute to society.
Situation: you want to learn a new language. Here are 3 options. 1. Take a language course at a center. 2. Use language learning apps like Duolingo. 3. Practice speaking with native speakers online. Which do you think is the most effective way to learn?
To learn a new language effectively, I believe the best method is to practice speaking with native speakers online. Speaking directly with native speakers helps you learn not only vocabulary and grammar, but also pronunciation, natural expressions, and cultural context. It allows you to develop fluency and confidence in real-life communication, which is the ultimate goal of learning any language. Apps and courses are helpful in building basic knowledge and structure, but they often focus too much on passive skills like reading and grammar. Real conversation, on the other hand, activates your listening and speaking skills, forces you to think in the language, and helps you learn from your mistakes instantly. In my experience, talking to a native speaker for just 15 minutes can be more beneficial than studying vocabulary for an hour. It makes the language come alive and motivates you to keep improving. That's why I think speaking with native speakers is the most powerful and engaging way to learn a new language.
Situation: you're trying to save money as a student. Here are 3 ideas. 1. Cook at home instead of eating out. 2. Use public transportation instead of taxis. 3. Buy second-hand books and clothes. Which idea do you think helps save the most money?
To save money as a student, I think the most effective idea is to cook at home instead of eating out. Food expenses are one of the biggest parts of a student's budget. Eating out every day adds up quickly, while cooking at home is much cheaper and often healthier. You can prepare meals in larger portions and save leftovers for later, which also saves time. Public transportation is also a great way to cut costs, but it's something many students already do by default. Buying second-hand items helps, too, but those are usually one-time purchases. In contrast, food is a daily expense. Making a habit of cooking not only saves money in the long term but also teaches valuable life skills. You become more aware of what you eat and how you spend. So, for both financial and personal benefits, cooking at home is the most practical and impactful strategy.
Situation: your city wants to improve public transportation. Here are 3 suggestions. 1. Add more bus routes and stations. 2. Offer discounts for students and workers. 3. Build more bike lanes and encourage biking. Which do you think is the best idea?
To improve public transportation, I think the best idea is to add more bus routes and stations. Expanding the coverage of buses allows more people to access affordable transportation. It reduces waiting times and makes it easier for commuters in distant or underserved areas to travel. This can significantly reduce traffic congestion and pollution, especially during rush hours. While discounts are a good idea, they only benefit certain groups and don't solve the problem of limited access. Building bike lanes is important for the environment and health, but not everyone can ride a bike, especially in bad weather or long distances. By increasing bus routes and stations, the city provides a reliable and inclusive solution for the majority. It encourages more people to choose public transport over private vehicles, which helps the city in the long run. That's why I believe this option brings the most practical and widespread benefits.
Situation: you've been having trouble sleeping lately. Here are 3 things you could do. 1. Avoid screens, phones, computers, an hour before bed. 2. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. 3. Drink herbal tea or warm milk before sleeping. Which do you think is the most effective solution?
To improve sleep quality, I believe the most effective solution is to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. Our bodies have an internal clock, known as the circadian rhythm, that controls sleep. By maintaining a consistent sleep schedule, we train our body to feel sleepy and wakeful at the right times. This regularity improves sleep quality and makes it easier to fall asleep naturally. Avoiding screens before bed is also helpful since blue light affects melatonin levels, but it only works well if your schedule is consistent. Drinking warm beverages can create a relaxing routine, but it doesn't solve the deeper issue of irregular sleep patterns. In my opinion, establishing a routine is the foundation of good sleep hygiene. Once your body gets used to a regular schedule, falling and staying asleep becomes much easier. So I'd recommend starting with a fixed sleep and wake-up time to see real improvements.
Situation: you want to reduce your plastic use. Here are 3 options. 1. Carry a reusable water bottle and shopping bag. 2. Avoid buying products with plastic packaging. 3. Educate others about plastic pollution. Which do you think is the most practical and effective option?
I think the most practical and effective way to reduce plastic waste is to carry a reusable water bottle and shopping bag. These are simple changes that almost anyone can make. A reusable water bottle replaces dozens of plastic bottles every month, and bringing your own bag reduces the need for single-use plastic bags. These actions are easy, convenient, and immediately reduce waste. Avoiding products with plastic packaging is ideal, but it can be difficult because many items in stores are wrapped in plastic. Educating others is also important, but real change starts with action. By adopting reusable habits in daily life, we not only reduce our personal plastic consumption, but also set an example for others. Small changes, when done consistently by many people, can lead to a big impact. That's why I believe this is the most realistic and effective way to help the environment.
Situation: you have a big exam coming up. Here are 3 ways to stay healthy while preparing. 1. Get enough sleep every night. 2. Take short breaks to exercise or stretch. 3. Eat healthy snacks instead of junk food. Which do you think is the most effective way to stay healthy during exams?
To stay healthy during exam season, I think the most effective strategy is to get enough sleep every night. When preparing for an exam, many students tend to sacrifice sleep in order to study more. However, this often backfires because a tired brain can't focus or retain information effectively. Getting enough rest helps you concentrate, reduces stress, and improves memory, all of which are critical when studying. While taking breaks and eating healthy are both beneficial, they can't make up for the negative effects of sleep deprivation. A well-rested body and mind are more productive and resilient. In my experience, even an extra hour of sleep can make a big difference in how well I study and perform on tests. That's why I believe getting proper sleep is the best way to stay healthy and study effectively.
Situation: you are new at university and want to make friends. Here are 3 suggestions. 1. Join clubs and student organizations. 2. Start conversations with classmates after lectures. 3. Attend social events and campus parties. Which do you think is the most effective way to make friends?
In my opinion, the most effective way to make new friends at university is to join clubs and student organizations. Clubs give you a shared interest to bond over, whether it's sports, music, volunteering, or academic topics. This makes conversations more natural and meaningful. You also see the same people regularly, which helps build friendships over time. Talking to classmates or going to parties may lead to friendships too, but they can be hit or miss. Not everyone is open to chatting after class, and parties are often noisy and crowded, making real conversations difficult. Joining a club gives you both structure and social opportunities. It's easier to connect when you're doing something you enjoy with like-minded people. So for long-term, genuine friendships, clubs are the best choice.
Situation: you feel overwhelmed with your schedule. Here are 3 time management strategies. 1. Use a daily planner or calendar. 2. Set priorities and focus on important tasks. 3. Avoid distractions like social media during work time. Which do you think is the most effective strategy for managing time?
To manage time effectively, I believe the most powerful strategy is to set priorities and focus on important tasks. Without knowing what truly matters, we can waste time on small, less meaningful tasks. By identifying high-priority goals, we can ensure that our energy goes toward what will have the biggest impact. Using planners and avoiding distractions are supportive tools, but they don't work well unless you're clear on your priorities. Even with a detailed schedule, if you're focusing on the wrong tasks, you won't feel productive. Personally, when I start my day by deciding my top 3 tasks, I feel more focused and less stressed. So I think setting priorities is the foundation of good time management.
Situation: you want to become more fluent in English. Here are 3 ways you could practice speaking. 1. Join an English speaking club. 2. Watch movies and repeat the dialogue aloud. 3. Record yourself and listen to your pronunciation. Which do you think is the most helpful method?
To improve English speaking skills, I think the most helpful method is to join an English speaking club. Speaking clubs give you a chance to practice in real time with other learners or native speakers. It's interactive, and you can receive feedback and encouragement. You also learn how to express ideas naturally, respond quickly, and gain confidence. Watching movies and recording yourself are good for self-practice, but they don't involve real interaction. You might learn pronunciation, but you won't improve your ability to hold a conversation or respond to others. In a club, you learn by doing. It's a supportive environment where mistakes are okay and practice is encouraged. That's why I believe this is the best way to build fluency over time.
Situation: you are looking for a summer job. Here are 3 options. 1. Work as a waiter in a restaurant. 2. Teach English to children. 3. Do an internship related to your major. Which do you think is the best choice for your future?
If I had to choose a summer job, I would go with doing an internship related to my major. An internship helps me gain experience in the field I want to work in after graduation. It builds my resume, teaches me practical skills, and lets me network with professionals. These are long-term benefits that a job like waiting tables can't provide. Teaching English is meaningful and can improve communication skills, but it may not be closely related to my academic goals. In contrast, an internship gives me insight into the industry and helps me decide if it's the right path. So for personal growth and future opportunities, I think a major-related internship is the smartest option.
Situation: you're feeling stressed about university life. Here are 3 ways to manage stress. 1. Talk to a friend or family member. 2. Do regular physical exercise. 3. Practice mindfulness or meditation. Which do you think is the most effective way to reduce stress?
To reduce stress at university, I believe the most effective method is to do regular physical exercise. Physical activity helps release endorphins, which naturally improve your mood and reduce feelings of anxiety. It also gives you a break from studying and clears your mind. Whether it's jogging, swimming, or even walking, exercise can refresh both your body and mind. Talking to someone is helpful, but it may not always be possible or enough. Practicing mindfulness works for some people, but it can take time to see results. In my own experience, exercising just a few times a week has made me feel more energized and positive. That's why I think it's the most effective way to deal with stress in a healthy and sustainable way.
Situation: you want to save more money during your time at university. Here are 3 ways to do it. 1. Cook meals at home instead of eating out. 2. Use public transportation instead of taxis or motorbikes. 3. Avoid buying unnecessary clothes or gadgets. Which do you think is the most practical way to save money?
To save money as a student, I think the most practical way is to cook meals at home instead of eating out. Buying food at restaurants or ordering delivery can be very expensive over time. On the other hand, cooking at home costs less and allows you to make healthier choices. You can prepare larger portions and even save leftovers for the next day. While using public transport and avoiding shopping are good strategies, food expenses usually make up a large part of a student's monthly budget. Cutting down on eating out brings quick and noticeable savings. In fact, when I started cooking at home, I was surprised at how much money I saved each week. That's why I believe this is the most practical way to manage student expenses.
Situation: you want to improve your English writing skills. Here are 3 things you could do. 1. Read more English books and articles. 2. Practice writing short essays or diaries regularly. 3. Take an online writing course with feedback. Which do you think is the most effective way to improve?
To improve my writing skills, I believe the most effective method is to practice writing short essays or diaries regularly. Writing is a skill that improves with consistent practice. When you write frequently, you learn how to express your ideas clearly, improve your grammar, and expand your vocabulary. You also become more confident and comfortable with writing. Reading and taking courses are also useful, but they are more passive. Only through regular writing do you truly develop your own style and identify your strengths and weaknesses. I've noticed that when I write a little each day, even if it's just in a journal, my writing becomes more natural. That's why I think regular practice is the most effective approach.
Situation: you are meeting new people at a networking event. Here are 3 ways to make a good first impression. 1. Dress professionally and neatly. 2. Smile and maintain eye contact. 3. Prepare a short self-introduction in advance. Which do you think is the most important for a strong first impression?
In my opinion, the most important way to make a good first impression is to smile and maintain eye contact. These simple nonverbal actions show confidence, friendliness, and openness. They help you connect with others instantly and make them feel comfortable around you. People tend to remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Of course, dressing well and preparing an introduction help too, but if your body language is cold or distant, it can ruin the impression. I believe a warm smile and steady eye contact are powerful tools in any social or professional setting. They build trust quickly, which is why I think they are the most essential.
Situation: you and your friends are planning something fun for the weekend. Here are 3 options. 1. Go hiking in the mountains. 2. Have a movie night at home. 3. Visit a local museum or art gallery. Which do you think is the best option for a fun and relaxing weekend?
For a fun and relaxing weekend, I think the best option is to go hiking in the mountains. Hiking is a great way to combine physical activity with relaxation. Being in nature helps reduce stress, and the fresh air and beautiful views make it a refreshing break from daily life. It's also a great opportunity to bond with friends away from screens and noise. Watching movies or visiting museums are enjoyable too, but they don't offer the same physical and mental benefits as being outdoors. Personally, I always feel happier and more energized after a day spent in nature. That's why I think hiking is the best weekend activity among the 3 options.
Situation: you want to reduce your negative impact on the environment. Here are 3 things you could do. 1. Use reusable bags and bottles. 2. Reduce electricity and water usage at home. 3. Avoid fast fashion and buy sustainable clothes. Which do you think is the most effective way to protect the environment?
To become more environmentally friendly, I believe the most effective action is to reduce electricity and water usage at home. Daily activities like leaving lights on or taking long showers waste valuable resources. By being more conscious, such as turning off appliances when not in use or fixing leaking taps, we can save a lot of energy and water over time. These changes are simple but have a big impact. Using reusable items and avoiding fast fashion are also helpful, but they may not be practiced as consistently. Conserving electricity and water is something we can do every single day. From my perspective, saving energy at home is practical, cost-effective, and good for the planet. That's why I consider it the most powerful step among the options.
Situation: you want to become better at working in a team. Here are 3 things you could do. 1. Practice active listening during group discussions. 2. Share responsibilities fairly with teammates. 3. Learn to give and receive constructive feedback. Which do you think is the most important for successful teamwork?
To improve teamwork skills, I think the most important thing is to practice active listening during group discussions. Listening carefully to others shows respect and helps everyone feel heard. It also prevents misunderstandings and makes sure everyone's ideas are considered. A good listener encourages open communication, which is essential for any team to function well. Sharing work fairly and giving feedback are also necessary, but without listening, you might miss important input or create conflict. In my experience, teams work best when members truly listen to one another. It builds trust and leads to better cooperation. That's why I believe active listening is the key to successful teamwork.
Situation: you want to learn a new language using an app. Here are 3 features you consider. 1. Daily speaking and pronunciation practice. 2. Fun games and quizzes to build vocabulary. 3. Grammar lessons with clear explanations. Which feature do you think is the most helpful for language learning?
If I had to choose the most helpful feature in a language learning app, would choose daily speaking and pronunciation practice. Speaking is one of the hardest skills to develop, especially when you're learning alone. An app that allows you to speak and corrects your pronunciation helps you build fluency and confidence. It also prepares you for real-life conversations. While vocabulary and grammar are important, they can be learned through many sources. But speaking practice is more challenging to find, so having it in an app is extremely valuable. Personally, I've improved my accent and speaking speed by using apps that focus on pronunciation. That's why I think it's the most essential feature for real progress.
Situation: you want to spend more quality time with your family. Here are 3 ways you could do that. 1. Cook and eat meals together regularly. 2. Plan weekend outings or trips. 3. Limit phone and screen time when at home. Which do you think is the best way to improve family time?
To improve family time, I believe the best approach is to cook and eat meals together regularly. Sharing meals is a simple but meaningful way to connect. It creates a daily opportunity to talk, share stories, and enjoy each other's company. Even a short dinner can strengthen relationships. Trips and cutting down on screen time are also helpful, but they happen less often or are harder to maintain. In contrast, mealtimes are part of everyday life and easier to turn into a habit. In my own family, dinner is often when we laugh, solve problems, and bond. That's why I think having regular meals together is the most valuable way to stay close.
Situation: you have an important presentation next week. Here are 3 ways to prepare. 1. Create clear and attractive slides. 2. Practice speaking in front of a mirror. 3. Ask a friend to listen and give feedback. Which do you think is the most effective preparation method?
To prepare for a presentation, I believe the most effective method is to ask a friend to listen and give feedback. Practicing in front of someone else helps simulate the real experience. A friend can point out issues with your delivery, body language, or content that you might not notice yourself. It's also great for building confidence. Slides and mirrors are helpful, but they don't give you an outside perspective. Real feedback allows you to improve faster and avoid common mistakes. I always feel more confident after doing a test run with a friend. That's why I think getting constructive feedback is the most effective way to prepare.
Situation: you often feel like you don't have enough time to do everything. Here are 3 strategies you could try. 1. Make a daily to-do list. 2. Set time limits for tasks. 3. Avoid distractions like social media. Which do you think is the most effective way to manage time better?
To manage time more effectively, I think the most useful strategy is to make a daily to-do list. When you write down your tasks for the day, you gain a clear picture of what needs to be done. It helps you stay organized and reduces the feeling of being overwhelmed. Checking things off also gives a sense of achievement and keeps you motivated. Setting time limits and avoiding distractions are important too, but they work best after you already know what your priorities are. A list gives you that structure. Personally, since I started planning my day with a to-do list each morning, I've become much more productive. That's why I believe it's the most effective time management method.
Situation: you are thinking of studying abroad and considering 3 countries. 1. The United States. 2. The United Kingdom. 3. Australia. Which country do you think would be the best place to study, and why?
If I had the chance to study abroad, would choose the United Kingdom. The UK has many top universities with strong reputations, and the programs are often shorter than in other countries, which saves both time and money. In addition, it has a rich history and culture, which makes studying there more interesting and meaningful. The US and Australia are great options too, but the UK offers a unique balance of academic excellence and cultural experience. Also, being in Europe makes it easier to travel and explore different countries. For all these reasons, I think the UK would be the best place for me to study abroad.
Situation: exam season is stressful, and you want to stay healthy. Here are 3 ideas. 1. Get enough sleep every night. 2. Eat balanced meals and stay hydrated. 3. Take short breaks to stretch or walk. Which do you think is the most important to stay healthy during exams?
During exam season, I believe the most important way to stay healthy is to get enough sleep every night. Sleep is essential for memory, focus, and mental health. Without enough rest, it's much harder to concentrate, and stress levels increase. Even if you study all night, your brain won't work as well the next day. Eating well and taking breaks are useful too, but if you're exhausted, no amount of food or walking can fix that. Personally, I do much better on tests when I sleep well the night before. That's why I believe sleep should be the top priority during exams.
Situation: you want to make the most of your summer break. Here are 3 activities you're considering. 1. Take a part-time job. 2. Travel to a new place. 3. Join a summer course to learn a new skill. Which do you think is the best way to spend the summer?
To make the most of the summer, I would choose to join a summer course to learn a new skill. Summer is the perfect time to focus on personal growth. Whether it's learning a language, improving computer skills, or taking a creative course, it gives long-term value. Unlike a trip or job, a new skill stays with you forever and can open doors in the future. Traveling and working are also great, but they don't always help you develop in the same way. I once took a design course over the summer, and it later helped me get a better internship. So for me, learning something new is the best way to invest my summer time.
Situation: you've just moved to a new city and want to make friends. Here are 3 things you could do. 1. Join a local club or sports team. 2. Attend community events or festivals. 3. Use social media or online groups. Which do you think is the most effective way to meet new people?
To make new friends in a new city, I think the most effective way is to join a local club or sports team. Being part of a club gives you a regular chance to meet the same people and build relationships over time. It also creates natural conversations because you share a common interest, whether it's sports, music, or something else. Events and social media are useful too, but they often lead to short-term interactions. Clubs allow you to become part of a real community. In my opinion, consistent contact is key to forming friendships, and clubs offer exactly that. That's why I think they're the best option.
Situation: you've been feeling stressed lately and want to feel more relaxed. Here are 3 things you could try. 1. Practice meditation or deep breathing. 2. Exercise regularly. 3. Spend more time with friends or family. Which do you think is the most effective way to reduce stress?
To reduce daily stress, I believe the most effective method is to practice meditation or deep breathing. These techniques can be done anywhere, anytime, and they work quickly to calm both the body and mind. Even just 5 to 10 minutes of focused breathing can help lower anxiety and improve mental clarity. Exercise and socializing are also great, but they require more time and planning. Meditation, on the other hand, is something I can fit into a busy schedule easily. Personally, I've found that a few minutes of breathing exercises in the morning help me start the day with a clear head. That's why I consider it the most effective stress reduction tool.
Situation: you want to become a better writer in English. Here are 3 ways to improve. 1. Read more books and articles in English. 2. Write a daily journal. 3. Take an online writing course. Which do you think is the best way to improve writing skills?
To improve my English writing, I believe the most effective method is to write a daily journal. Writing every day builds fluency and confidence. It also helps you identify your own common mistakes and expand your vocabulary naturally. Even if no one checks it, the habit of putting thoughts into words is powerful. Reading and taking courses are useful too, but they are more passive. Journaling makes you actively use the language and reflect on your writing. From my own experience, journaling has helped me express myself better and become more comfortable with English. That's why I think it's the best way to improve writing skills.
Situation: you want to save money for something important. Here are 3 strategies you could use. 1. Set a monthly savings goal. 2. Avoid eating out or shopping too often. 3. Use a budgeting app to track spending. Which do you think is the most effective way to save money?
To save money effectively, I think the best strategy is to set a monthly savings goal. When you have a clear target, it becomes easier to manage your spending and stay motivated. It gives you a sense of direction and purpose, whether you're saving for a trip, education, or emergency fund. Avoiding unnecessary expenses and using budgeting apps can support this, but without a clear goal, it's easy to lose focus. Personally, once I started setting monthly goals, I noticed a big improvement in how much I saved. That's why I believe this is the most powerful way to build financial discipline.
Situation: you often get distracted while studying. Here are 3 things you could do. 1. Study in a quiet place with no distractions. 2. Use a timer to study in short sessions. 3. Turn off notifications on your phone or laptop. Which do you think is the most effective way to stay focused?
To stay focused while studying, I believe the most effective solution is to study in a quiet place with no distractions. The environment plays a huge role in how well we concentrate. If the space is peaceful, well-lit, and organized, it naturally supports better focus. It also helps your brain associate that place with productivity. Timers and turning off notifications are helpful, but if your surroundings are noisy or chaotic, it's still hard to concentrate. I've found that when I go to a quiet library or turn my room into a study zone, I get much more done in less time. That's why I think the environment is the most important factor.
Situation: you want to do something fun and meaningful this weekend. Here are 3 ideas. 1. Volunteer for a local charity. 2. Go on a nature hike with friends. 3. Visit a museum or art gallery. Which do you think is the best choice and why?
For a weekend activity, I would choose to volunteer for a local charity. It's not only meaningful but also deeply satisfying. Helping others brings a sense of purpose and allows you to connect with people in your community. It's a great way to make a difference and feel good at the same time. Hiking and visiting museums are fun too, but they are more for personal enjoyment. Volunteering offers both emotional rewards and the chance to learn new skills or perspectives. From my experience, even a few hours of volunteering can lift your spirits. That's why I think it's the best use of weekend time. To improve public speaking, I think the most effective method is to join a public speaking club.
Situation: you want to become a better public speaker. Here are 3 things you could do. 1. Join a public speaking club. 2. Practice in front of a mirror or camera. 3. Watch and learn from great speakers online. Which do you think is the most effective way to improve public speaking?
These clubs, like Toastmasters, offer regular practice, supportive feedback, and a community of learners. Practicing in real situations is key to overcoming fear and building confidence. You learn how to structure your speech, use body language, and respond to an audience. Watching great speakers is inspiring, and practicing alone can help, but nothing replaces live experience with real feedback. Personally, when I joined a speaking club, my confidence grew much faster. That's why I believe it's the best way to develop strong speaking skills.
Situation: you are getting ready for your final exams. Here are 3 methods you're considering. 1. Review class notes and textbooks. 2. Study with a group of friends. 3. Take practice tests and mock exams. Which do you think is the most effective way to prepare?
For final exams, I think the most effective way to prepare is to take practice tests and mock exams. They help you identify your weak points and simulate the real test environment. You learn how to manage your time, deal with pressure, and understand the question format better. Reviewing notes and studying with friends are helpful too, but they can sometimes be passive or distracting. Practice tests give direct feedback and help you measure your progress clearly. In my experience, doing mock exams boosted both my scores and my confidence. That's why I find this method the most effective.
Situation: you want to reduce your environmental impact. Here are 3 actions you can take. 1. Use reusable bags and containers. 2. Ride a bicycle or use public transportation. 3. Reduce your water and electricity usage. Which do you think is the most effective way to help the environment?
To reduce my environmental impact, I believe the most effective action is to ride a bicycle or use public transportation. Transportation is one of the biggest sources of pollution, especially in cities. By choosing greener transport, we reduce emissions and traffic congestion. It also encourages healthier lifestyles. While using reusable bags and saving water are great habits, their overall impact is smaller compared to reducing car use. Personally, I started cycling to school last year, and I've seen how it benefits both the environment and my health. That's why I think it's the most powerful daily change we can make.
Situation: you want to learn a new language. Here are 3 ways to get started. 1. Take a language course. 2. Use language learning apps. 3. Talk regularly with native speakers. Which do you think is the most effective method and why?
To learn a new language, I think the most effective method is to talk regularly with native speakers. This gives you real-world practice and helps you learn natural expressions, pronunciation, and cultural context. It also keeps you motivated and improves fluency quickly. Courses and apps are useful for building vocabulary and grammar, but speaking with natives is the most active and immersive form of learning. When I started speaking weekly with a native tutor, my listening and confidence improved a lot. That's why I believe this is the best way to master a new language.
Situation: you want to give a meaningful birthday gift to your best friend. Here are 3 options. 1. Buy something they've been wanting. 2. Make a handmade gift or write a letter. 3. Plan a surprise experience, like a trip or a party. Which do you think is the best way to show your love and appreciation?
To show love and appreciation, I think the best way is to plan a surprise experience, like a trip or a party. Memories last longer than objects, and a shared experience creates deeper emotional connections. Whether it's a small picnic or a weekend getaway, it shows that you value time together. Buying a gift or making something personal is nice too, but an experience feels more thoughtful and exciting. Last year, I surprised my friend with a simple day trip, and she said it was the most meaningful gift she had received. That's why I believe experiences are the best gifts.
Situation: you want to feel more confident in social situations. Here are 3 strategies you could try. 1. Practice starting conversations with strangers. 2. Join clubs or activities to meet new people. 3. Read books or watch videos about social skills. Which do you think is the most effective strategy and why?
To build confidence in social situations, I think the most effective strategy is to join clubs or activities to meet new people. This creates natural opportunities to interact without pressure. When people share a common interest, it's easier to start conversations and build connections. Over time, your confidence improves through experience. Starting conversations with strangers is helpful, but it can be intimidating at first. Reading about social skills is good too, but real practice matters more. Personally, joining a photography club helped me become more outgoing and comfortable in groups. That's why I believe this is the most practical and enjoyable way to gain social confidence.
Situation: you have a very busy schedule but still want to stay healthy. Here are 3 things you could do. 1. Prepare healthy meals in advance. 2. Do short workouts at home. 3. Make sure to get enough sleep. Which do you think is the most important for staying healthy?
To stay healthy during a busy week, I believe the most important thing is to get enough sleep. Sleep affects everything: your energy, concentration, mood, and even your immune system. Without enough rest, it's hard to stay productive or motivated to eat well and exercise. Meal prepping and home workouts are great, but they won't help much if you're always tired. Sleep is the foundation of good health. In my own life, I've noticed that when I sleep well, I make better decisions and feel more balanced. That's why I think it's the top priority for staying healthy when life gets hectic.
Situation: you want to take a short course during the summer. Here are 3 options. 1. A course to improve your English skills. 2. A course to learn a new hobby or talent. 3. A course that helps with your future career. Which do you think is the most useful choice and why?
If I had to choose a summer course, I'd pick a course that helps with my future career. Summer is a great time to gain new skills that can give you a competitive advantage in the job market. Whether it's coding, public speaking, or project management, these skills can open doors. Improving English or learning a hobby is beneficial too, but a career-related course provides long-term value and could even lead to job opportunities. Personally, I once took a digital marketing course in the summer, and it helped me get an internship. That's why I think this is the most useful choice.
Situation: you want to improve your relationship with your family members. Here are 3 things you could do. 1. Spend more quality time together. 2. Talk openly and listen more. 3. Help each other with daily tasks. Which do you think is the most effective way to strengthen family bonds?
To strengthen family relationships, I believe the most effective way is to spend more quality time together. When families share activities like meals, games, or outings, they create positive memories and stronger emotional connections. It also gives people a chance to relax and enjoy each other's company. Open communication and helping with chores are important too, but they work best when there's already a warm, close bond. For example, my family started having weekly movie nights, and it really brought us closer. That's why I think quality time is the key to building stronger family ties.
Situation: you want to become more organized in your daily life. Here are 3 strategies you're considering. 1. Make a daily to-do list. 2. Keep your workspace clean and tidy. 3. Use a digital planner or calendar. Which do you think is the most effective way to become organized?
To become more organized, I think the most effective strategy is to make a daily to-do list. It helps you focus on what needs to be done and prevents you from forgetting tasks. A simple checklist gives structure to your day and brings a sense of accomplishment when you complete each item. Having a clean space and using a planner are helpful too, but without a clear list of tasks, it's easy to lose direction. For me, writing a to-do list every morning makes me more productive and keeps my mind clear. That's why I think it's the best way to stay organized.
Situation: you are a university student who wants to save more money. Here are 3 options. 1. Cook meals at home instead of eating out. 2. Find a part-time job. 3. Make a monthly budget and track expenses. Which do you think is the most effective way to save money?
To save money as a student, I think the most effective way is to make a monthly budget and track expenses. When you know exactly how much you're spending and on what, it's easier to make smarter decisions. Budgeting helps you identify unnecessary expenses and plan better for both short-term and long-term needs. Cooking at home and working part-time are good ideas too, but if you don't manage your money wisely, even a part-time job won't help much. Personally, once I started using a budgeting app, I was shocked by how much I spent on small things. That awareness helped me cut back and save more. That's why budgeting is my top choice.
Situation: you and your classmates have a group presentation next week. Here are 3 ways you could prepare. 1. Assign roles clearly and early. 2. Practice the full presentation together. 3. Create engaging slides and visuals. Which do you think is the most important step for a successful group presentation?
For a successful group presentation, I think the most important step is to practice the full presentation together. This helps the group build teamwork, improve timing, and ensure a smooth flow between parts. Practicing also helps reduce nervousness and allows members to support each other. While assigning roles and having great visuals are necessary, they won't matter much if the group sounds uncoordinated during the actual presentation. In my experience, when a team practices together, they present more confidently and look more professional. That's why I believe this is the key to a strong performance.
Situation: you have recently moved to a new city and want to make new friends. Here are 3 ideas. 1. Join clubs or local interest groups. 2. Attend social events or community gatherings. 3. Use social media or apps to meet people. Which do you think is the most effective way to make new friends and why?
To make new friends in a new city, I believe the most effective way is to join clubs or local interest groups. These offer regular opportunities to connect with people who share similar hobbies or passions, which makes starting conversations easier and friendships more natural. While events and apps can be helpful, they're often one-time or less personal. Clubs create a sense of belonging and consistency. When I moved to a new city, joining a local hiking group helped me build a circle of friends quickly. That's why I believe this is the best approach.
Situation: you often feel stressed during exam periods. Here are 3 ways you could reduce stress. 1. Develop a regular study schedule. 2. Practice mindfulness or meditation. 3. Talk to friends or family about how you feel. Which do you think is the most effective way to manage exam stress?
To manage exam stress, I think the most effective method is to develop a regular study schedule. Most exam stress comes from last-minute cramming and feeling unprepared. A study schedule helps you stay organized, break down material into manageable parts, and build confidence over time. Mindfulness and talking to others are great for emotional support, but they don't directly solve the problem of not knowing the content. When I follow a study plan, I feel much more in control and less anxious. That's why I consider this the best way to reduce stress during exams.
Situation: you want to stay motivated to exercise regularly. Here are 3 things you could try. 1. Set clear fitness goals. 2. Work out with a friend. 3. Try different types of exercise to keep it fun. Which do you think is the most effective way to stay motivated and why?
To stay motivated to exercise, I believe the most effective way is to work out with a friend. Having someone to exercise with creates accountability and makes the experience more enjoyable. You're less likely to skip a workout if someone is waiting for you. Setting goals and keeping workouts fun are important too, but motivation often fades when you're doing it alone. A friend adds encouragement and turns it into a social activity. Personally, when I go running with a friend, I push myself harder and actually look forward to it. That's why this is my favorite way to stay consistent.
Situation: you find it hard to concentrate while studying. Here are 3 possible solutions. 1. Study in a quiet place with no distractions. 2. Use the Pomodoro technique. Study 25 minutes, break 5 minutes. 3. Turn off your phone or use apps to block social media. Which do you think is the most effective way to improve concentration and why?
To improve concentration while studying, I think the most effective way is to study in a quiet place with no distractions. Your environment plays a huge role in how focused you are. A calm, dedicated space helps your brain associate that area with studying and reduces the chances of being interrupted. The Pomodoro method and turning off the phone are helpful, but if you're surrounded by noise or movement, your focus will still be affected. Personally, I study much better at the library than at home because there are fewer distractions. That's why I believe choosing the right study environment is the key to staying focused.
Situation: you want to maintain friendships with people you don't see often. Here are 3 options. 1. Schedule regular video or phone calls. 2. Send messages or share updates online. 3. Plan occasional meetups or reunions. Which do you think is the best way to stay connected and why?
To stay connected with old friends, I believe the best way is to schedule regular video or phone calls. These conversations feel more personal than texting or liking posts. Talking in real time allows for deeper sharing, jokes, and emotional support, just like when you were together. Sending messages or planning reunions are also good, but they often happen less frequently or feel less sincere. In my experience, setting aside 30 minutes every month to call a friend helps keep the bond strong. That's why I think live conversation is the most effective way to maintain long-distance friendships.
Situation: you're struggling to manage your time as a student. Here are 3 techniques to consider. 1. Use a weekly planner to schedule tasks. 2. Set priorities using a to-do list. 3. Avoid multitasking and focus on one task at a time. Which do you think is the most useful technique and why?
To manage time better, I believe the most useful technique is to use a weekly planner to schedule tasks. A planner gives you a clear overview of your responsibilities. It helps you spread out your work, avoid last-minute stress, and make time for breaks or social activities. While to-do lists and single-tasking are helpful, they're more effective when you already have a structured schedule to work with. Personally, since I started planning my week every Sunday evening, I've become more organized and less overwhelmed. That's why I believe a planner is essential for time management.
Situation: you want to improve your language skills quickly. Here are 3 possible approaches. 1. Watch movies or shows in the target language. 2. Take intensive language courses. 3. Practice speaking with native speakers. Which do you think is the most effective method and why?
To learn a new language faster, I think the most effective method is to practice speaking with native speakers. Speaking helps you improve fluency, pronunciation, and confidence. Real-life conversations teach you how the language is actually used, not just textbook grammar. Watching media and taking classes are valuable, but they're more passive. Active speaking forces you to use what you've learned. When I started practicing English with native speakers online, I saw huge improvements in just a few weeks. That's why I believe regular speaking practice is the most powerful tool for language learning.
Situation: you find it hard to sleep because of too much screen time at night. Here are 3 strategies you could try. 1. Read a book instead of using your phone. 2. Set a no screens rule 1 hour before bed. 3. Use night mode or blue light filters on your devices. Which do you think is the most effective strategy and why?
To reduce screen time before bed, I think the most effective strategy is to set a no screens rule 1 hour before bed. This helps your brain wind down naturally and improves sleep quality. It also encourages healthier habits like reading, journaling, or relaxing without technology. Reading a book or using blue light filters are helpful, but they still involve screens or mental stimulation. Completely avoiding screens is more effective. Since I started turning off my devices an hour before sleeping, I've been falling asleep faster and feeling more rested. That's why I recommend this habit to anyone with sleep issues.
Situation: you're working or studying online and find it hard to stay focused. Here are 3 solutions. 1. Turn off all unnecessary tabs and apps. 2. Set short-term goals and take regular breaks. 3. Use productivity apps like time trackers or website blockers. Which do you think is the most effective solution and why?
To stay focused while working online, I think the most effective solution is to set short-term goals and take regular breaks. This technique keeps your mind fresh and helps prevent burnout. When you break tasks into smaller goals, they feel more manageable and give you a sense of progress. While turning off tabs and using productivity tools can help limit distractions, they don't directly address motivation and mental fatigue. Personally, using the Pomodoro technique, working 25 minutes and resting 5, has improved my focus a lot. That's why I believe short, focused sessions with planned breaks work best for online productivity.
Situation: you want to live a more eco-friendly lifestyle. Here are 3 actions you can take. 1. Reduce single-use plastics. 2. Use public transportation or cycle instead of driving. 3. Save electricity by unplugging devices and using energy-efficient bulbs. Which do you think is the most impactful way to protect the environment and why?
To live more sustainably, I think the most impactful action is to reduce single-use plastics. Plastic pollution is one of the biggest environmental issues, especially in oceans and rivers. By cutting down on plastic bags, bottles, and packaging, we help reduce waste and protect wildlife. While saving energy and using public transport are important, plastic waste has a more visible and lasting impact. Personally, since switching to reusable items like water bottles and tote bags, I've reduced my trash significantly. That's why I believe eliminating single-use plastics is the best place to start.
Situation: you want to improve your public speaking skills. Here are 3 options. 1. Practice speaking in front of a mirror. 2. Join a public speaking club like Toastmasters. 3. Record yourself and analyze your performance. Which do you think is the most effective way to improve and why?
To become a better public speaker, I believe the most effective way is to join a public speaking club like Toastmasters. These clubs provide real-life practice, helpful feedback, and a supportive environment. You learn not only to speak, but also to listen and evaluate others, which improves your own skills. Practicing alone or recording videos is useful, but you don't get immediate feedback or experience real audience reactions. Joining a club helped me overcome my fear and speak with more confidence. That's why I think interactive, real-world practice is the best method.
Situation: you have an important exam coming up. Here are 3 strategies you could use. 1. Review old exams and sample questions. 2. Create a detailed study plan and stick to it. 3. Study in a group and teach others what you've learned. Which do you think is the most effective strategy and why?
To prepare for a big exam, I think the most effective strategy is to create a detailed study plan and stick to it. Planning helps you cover all topics without rushing. It also reduces stress by breaking down study time into manageable parts. Reviewing past exams and group study are great, but without a clear plan, they can be disorganized or unfocused. From experience, when I follow a strict schedule, I feel more confident and perform better. That's why I believe time management is the foundation of successful exam preparation.
Situation: you are meeting someone important for the first time. Here are 3 ways to make a good first impression. 1. Dress appropriately for the occasion. 2. Be confident and maintain good posture. 3. Listen carefully and respond politely. Which do you think is the most important and why?
To make a good first impression, I believe the most important thing is to listen carefully and respond politely. People feel respected and valued when they're truly heard. Polite, thoughtful responses show emotional intelligence and build trust quickly. Looking confident and dressing well matter too, but they only create a surface-level impression. Good communication builds a lasting one. Personally, even when I was nervous or didn't look my best, people appreciated my attentiveness. That's why I believe listening and politeness leave the strongest impression.
Situation: you want to become a more confident person. Here are 3 ways to build confidence. 1. Set and achieve small personal goals. 2. Practice positive self-talk and affirmations. 3. Try new experiences that challenge you. Which do you think is the most effective and why?
To build confidence, I believe the most effective method is to set and achieve small personal goals. This approach creates a sense of progress and self-belief. When we complete even small tasks successfully, it sends a message to our brain that we are capable and trustworthy. Positive self-talk and trying new experiences are helpful, but they often lack structure or consistency. On the other hand, goal setting provides clear direction and measurable outcomes. For example, when I wanted to become more confident in public speaking, I started by setting small weekly goals like speaking in front of a mirror, then to a friend, and eventually to a group. Each step gave me a small win, which built up my confidence over time. That's why I believe starting with achievable goals and building from there is the most practical and sustainable way to grow self-confidence.
Situation: you want to earn money as a student. Here are 3 part-time job options. 1. Working as a tutor for younger students. 2. Serving in a cafe or restaurant. 3. Doing freelance work online, like writing or design. Which do you think is the best choice and why?
Among these options, I think the best choice for a student is to work as a tutor for younger students. Tutoring not only helps you earn money but also reinforces your own knowledge and improves your communication skills. It usually offers flexible hours and a decent hourly rate, which is ideal for students with busy schedules. Working in a cafe is more physically demanding and often comes with late hours. Freelancing is a great option too, but it requires more self-discipline and experience to find consistent clients. Personally, when I worked as a tutor, I found it meaningful to help others while reviewing subjects I was also studying. It gave me both confidence and practical teaching skills. That's why I believe tutoring is the best combination of income, skill development, and flexibility for students.
Situation: you want to stay healthy during a stressful exam period. Here are 3 actions you can take. 1. Eat nutritious meals and avoid junk food. 2. Schedule regular exercise, even short walks. 3. Get enough sleep every night. Which do you think is the most important and why?
To stay healthy during exams, I believe the most important thing is to get enough sleep every night. Sleep directly affects our brain function, memory, and emotional balance. Without it, even if we eat well or exercise, our ability to focus and retain information drops significantly. Many students try to stay up late to study, thinking it helps, but in fact, it reduces their efficiency. I experienced this myself during my first year in university, and I performed much worse in exams when I was sleep deprived. Eating healthy and exercising are essential too, but they can't fully compensate for the damage caused by poor sleep habits. That's why I think prioritizing sleep is the smartest choice for physical and mental health during high-pressure periods like exams.
Situation: you have a year off before starting university. Here are 3 things you could do. 1. Travel to new countries and learn about different cultures. 2. Take short courses or certifications to gain new skills. 3. Volunteer for a meaningful cause in your community. Which do you think is the best way to spend your gap year and why?
If I had a gap year, I think the best way to spend it would be to volunteer for a meaningful cause in my community. Volunteering not only benefits others but also helps you grow as a person. You learn responsibility, empathy, teamwork, and real-world problem-solving, qualities that are essential for both university and life in general. While traveling and taking courses are enriching, they can be expensive and mostly benefit the individual. Volunteering, on the other hand, allows you to make a difference while also gaining valuable life experience. I volunteered at a local shelter during high school, and it taught me more about leadership and compassion than any textbook ever could. That's why I think community service is the most meaningful and transformative way to spend a gap year.
Situation: you want to be more organized in your daily routine. Here are 3 strategies you can try. 1. Use a digital calendar or planner. 2. Create a daily checklist of tasks. 3. Declutter your physical and digital space regularly. Which do you think is the most helpful and why?
To become more organized, I believe the most helpful strategy is to create a daily checklist of tasks. A checklist helps you keep track of your responsibilities and provides a clear sense of progress throughout the day. It reduces mental clutter because you don't have to remember everything in your head. Using a planner is also great, but it's more for long-term planning, while a checklist focuses on daily action. Decluttering your space is helpful too, but it's something you do occasionally, not every day. Personally, writing down 5 to 6 key tasks every morning helps me stay focused and productive. It also gives me a sense of satisfaction when I tick them off. That's why I think a daily checklist is the simplest but most effective habit for building an organized life.
Situation: you want to improve your time management. Here are 3 ways you could do it. 1. Make a to-do list each morning. 2. Set specific time blocks for tasks. 3. Limit time spent on social media. Which do you think is the most effective and why?
To manage my time better, I believe the most effective method is to set specific time blocks for tasks. This strategy helps ensure that each task has its own space in the day, reducing the risk of procrastination or multitasking. By assigning clear time limits, I become more focused and less likely to waste time. While making to-do lists is helpful for knowing what needs to be done, it doesn't always push me to do things promptly. Similarly, limiting social media is important, but it's just one part of the bigger picture. Personally, using a time-blocking schedule like, from 9 to 10, study math, from 10 to 11, write my essay, has helped me stick to deadlines and feel in control of my day. That's why I think setting time blocks is the most effective way to manage time.
Situation: you're a student who wants to save money. Here are 3 strategies. 1. Cook meals at home instead of eating out. 2. Track all your spending in a notebook or app. 3. Avoid buying unnecessary items like clothes or gadgets. Which do you think is the most useful way to save money and why?
As a student, I think the most useful way to save money is to cook meals at home instead of eating out. Food can be one of the biggest daily expenses, especially for students living in cities. Cooking at home is not only cheaper but often healthier and more satisfying. Tracking expenses is helpful too, but just knowing where your money goes doesn't always change behavior. And avoiding unnecessary purchases is good advice, but what's unnecessary can be subjective. Personally, I saved a lot by meal prepping on Sundays and bringing lunch to school. I could use that extra money for books or other needs. That's why I believe home cooking is the smartest and most consistent way for students to save.
Situation: you want to become more fluent in English. Here are 3 methods. 1. Practice speaking with native speakers. 2. Watch movies and repeat dialogues aloud. 3. Record yourself speaking and listen to the playback. Which do you think is the most effective and why?
To improve English speaking fluency, I believe the most effective way is to practice speaking with native speakers. Interacting with real people forces you to use English naturally, in real time. You also get instant feedback on pronunciation and grammar, which helps correct mistakes. Watching movies and repeating lines is fun and helps with pronunciation, but it's still passive learning. Recording yourself is good for self-awareness, but it lacks interaction. When I had regular online conversations with native tutors, my fluency improved faster than with any other method. That's why I think speaking directly with others is the most powerful way to build real-world communication skills.
Situation: you feel overwhelmed and want to reduce stress. Here are 3 ways to do that. 1. Meditate for a few minutes each day. 2. Talk to a trusted friend or family member. 3. Exercise regularly. Which do you think is the most effective and why?
To reduce stress, I think the most effective method is to exercise regularly. Physical activity helps release endorphins, which are natural mood boosters. It also improves sleep and overall mental health. Just a 20-minute walk can clear your mind and reduce anxiety. Meditation and talking to someone are also helpful, but exercise has both mental and physical benefits. It doesn't require deep emotional sharing or high discipline like meditation might. Personally, whenever I feel stressed, I go for a jog or do some stretching, and I always feel better afterward. That's why I believe regular exercise is the most effective and accessible way to manage stress.
Situation: you want to learn a new skill like coding, painting, or photography. Here are 3 approaches. 1. Watch free tutorials on YouTube. 2. Take an online course with a certificate. 3. Join an online community or group for support. Which do you think is the best method and why?
To learn a new skill online, I believe the best method is to take an online course with a certificate. Structured courses usually offer clear lessons, assignments, and feedback. The certificate also motivates you to complete the course, especially if you want to include the skill on your CV. Watching YouTube tutorials is free and flexible, but often disorganized. Joining a group is great for motivation, but it works best after you've built some foundation. For example, I took a certified course on web development, and it gave me both confidence and credibility when applying for internships. That's why I think formal online courses offer the best balance of structure, depth, and recognition when learning something new.
Situation: you want to improve your study habits. Here are 3 strategies. 1. Create a consistent study schedule. 2. Study with a partner or in a group. 3. Take short breaks during long study sessions. Which do you think is the most effective and why?
To develop better study habits, I think the most effective strategy is to create a consistent study schedule. Having a fixed time for studying each day trains your brain to focus during those hours. It reduces procrastination and helps manage time more efficiently. Studying with others can be useful, but sometimes it leads to distractions. Taking breaks is important too, but it only works well if you already have a structured routine. Personally, when I started studying every evening from 7 to 9, my productivity improved a lot. I didn't waste time deciding when to study anymore. That's why I believe a consistent schedule is the key to developing strong and lasting study habits.
Situation: you are going to give a public speech. Here are 3 ways to prepare. 1. Practice in front of a mirror. 2. Record yourself and review the performance. 3. Rehearse in front of a small audience. Which do you think is the best way to prepare and why?
To prepare for a public speech, I think the best method is to rehearse in front of a small audience. Speaking in front of others helps simulate real conditions, which reduces anxiety and builds confidence. You can also receive feedback on your tone, pace, and body language. Practicing in front of a mirror is helpful for self-awareness, but it doesn't prepare you for the pressure of having real listeners. Recording is useful too, but it's a one-way activity. Personally, when I practiced my presentation in front of friends, they pointed out things I didn't notice, like speaking too fast. It really helped me improve. That's why rehearsing in front of a small audience is the most effective way to get ready for public speaking.
Situation: you have some free time every weekend. Here are 3 ways you could spend it. Read books to improve your knowledge. Spend time with friends and family. Work on a personal hobby or project. Which do you think is the best way to spend your free time and why?
When it comes to using free time wisely, I believe the best option is to work on a personal hobby or project. This allows you to relax and be creative while also learning something new. It gives a sense of progress and personal fulfillment that watching TV or scrolling social media can't offer. Reading is great for learning, and socializing is important too, but hobbies combine both learning and enjoyment in a personal way. For example, I spend my weekends writing short stories. It helps me improve my writing skills and express myself. That's why I think investing free time in a meaningful personal hobby is the most rewarding option.
Situation: you want to reduce your impact on the environment. Here are 3 actions you could take. Use public transport instead of driving. Reduce the use of plastic in daily life. Support local eco-friendly businesses. Which do you think is the most effective and why?
To be more environmentally friendly, I believe the most effective action is to reduce the use of plastic in daily life. Plastic waste causes serious pollution, especially in oceans and landfills. By avoiding single-use plastics and choosing reusable items, we can make a big difference. Public transport is great, but not always available for everyone. Supporting eco-friendly businesses is helpful too, but it often depends on your budget. Personally, I carry a reusable water bottle and shopping bag. These small actions have become habits, and I feel like I'm contributing to a cleaner planet. That's why I think cutting down on plastic is the most impactful and practical way to protect the environment.
Situation: you want to learn how to cook better. Here are 3 ways to start. Watch cooking videos and try the recipes. Take a cooking class with an instructor. Cook with family or friends who already know how. Which do you think is the most effective method and why?
To improve my cooking skills, I think the most effective method is to cook with family or friends who already know how. Learning from someone in person gives you immediate support, explanations, and tips that aren't always included in online videos or formal classes. It also makes cooking more fun and less stressful. Watching videos is convenient, but it can be hard to follow without guidance. Cooking classes are helpful, but they can be expensive and infrequent. When I learned to cook from my grandmother, she showed me simple tricks and shared her experience. That hands-on learning made a big difference. That's why I believe learning with experienced people you trust is the best way to improve your cooking.
Situation: you want to become more creative. Here are 3 ways to help boost creativity. Keep a daily journal of ideas. Try new experiences and go to new places. Collaborate with creative people. Which do you think is the most effective and why?
To boost creativity, I think the most effective way is to try new experiences and go to new places. Creativity often comes from inspiration, and the best way to get inspired is to break away from your usual environment. When you travel, explore a museum, or attend a new event, your brain is exposed to fresh ideas and perspectives. Keeping a journal is useful to track thoughts, and collaborating with creative people can be motivating, but they rely on having something new to write about or share. Personally, after visiting an art gallery or hiking in nature, I often come up with ideas I never would have thought of sitting at my desk. That's why I believe seeking new experiences is the most powerful way to fuel creativity.
Situation: you want to become more confident in yourself. Here are 3 strategies. Set and achieve small goals. Practice positive self-talk. Get feedback from people you trust. Which do you think is the most effective and why?
To build self-confidence, I think the most effective strategy is to set and achieve small goals. Each time you succeed, no matter how small the goal is, you build a sense of accomplishment. This gradually trains your mind to believe in your abilities. Positive self-talk helps emotionally, but it can feel empty without real results. Feedback is helpful too, but it depends on the people and how constructive they are. For me, even finishing a workout or completing a small project boosts my confidence far more than just telling myself, I can do it. That's why achieving small, manageable goals is the most practical and reliable path to greater confidence.
Situation: you have an important exam coming up. Here are 3 preparation methods. Study with past exam papers. Join a study group. Hire a private tutor. Which do you think is the most effective and why?
To prepare for an important exam, I believe the most effective method is to study with past exam papers. Doing past papers helps you understand the exam format, question types, and time pressure. It allows you to practice under real conditions and identify weak areas. Joining a study group can be helpful, but it's only effective if everyone is focused. A private tutor is great, but not everyone can afford one. Personally, when I prepared for my English test, doing sample papers helped me feel familiar with the structure and less nervous on test day. That's why I think practicing with real exam materials is the best way to prepare effectively.
Situation: your school wants students to be more eco-friendly. Here are 3 actions they can take. Set up recycling stations in classrooms. Organize environmental awareness campaigns. Encourage students to use reusable water bottles. Which do you think is the most effective and why?
To make schools more environmentally responsible, I believe the most effective action is to set up recycling stations in classrooms. This provides a daily, visible way for students to practice eco-friendly behavior. It turns sustainability into a habit, not just a one-time event. Campaigns are educational, but people often forget them quickly. Reusable bottles are great too, but they only tackle one part of the problem. In my school, once we had labeled recycling bins, more students started separating their trash correctly without needing reminders. That's why I think providing recycling facilities is the most practical and long-term solution for encouraging green behavior in schools.
Situation: you're very busy with school, but you want to stay healthy. Here are 3 actions you could take. Plan healthy meals in advance. Do short workouts at home. Get enough sleep each night. Which do you think is the most important and why?
To stay healthy during a busy semester, I think the most important action is to get enough sleep each night. Sleep affects everything: your mood, memory, and energy. Without rest, even eating well and exercising won't be effective. Planning meals and exercising are both helpful, but they require time and energy, which you may not have if you're constantly tired. I used to stay up late studying, but after I started prioritizing sleep, I performed better in school and felt more balanced. That's why I believe sleep is the foundation of staying healthy, especially when life gets hectic.